Welcome to our weekly financial report brought to you by Q Prime. And here is what you need to know for this week.
The week starts on Monday, the 4th of April, basically the Chinese Asian session or the Chinese session. The first one through the week was a holiday for the Qingming festival. We had some data released from the Australian economy regarding the retail sales month over month, which basically came around the expected 1.8%. And basically today we will be having the speech by the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey, who is expected to talk about some or give some hints about the monetary policy inside the British economy and how it is basically affected by the geopolitical tensions throughout the last month. Going through to Tuesday on the 5th of April, basically the market awaits for the interest rate decision by the Reserve Bank of Australia and as well as the monetary policy statement to be announced through the Asian session. We also have the PMI, the British PMI numbers, the composite and the services. We also have the non-manufacturing PMI from the US economy, and that's for Tuesday. Continuing the PMI numbers from the British economy, on Wednesday, basically, we have the construction PMI for the month of March. We have the PMI also as well from the Canadian economy, and the weekly crude oil inventories as well is due on Wednesday, and we end the day with the FOMC meeting minutes, which is highly awaited by the markets. We need to know exactly how many rate hikes the FOMC members are basically pricing in during this year, given all of the geopolitical tensions all around the table. On Thursday, the 7th of April, we also have the account of monetary policy meeting by the ECB, and we also have the weekly initial jobless claims to be announced on Thursday as well. On Friday, basically, we don't have many information. We only have the employment change for the month of March from the Canadian economy. That's all what we are basically awaiting for on the economic agenda for this week. And let's have a look on the technical analysis and the charts and what do we expect. Stay tuned. Starting with the dollar index on a daily time frame, basically we still are trading inside this sideways range or correction after the brilliant move to the upside. The dollar index is basically bounded between the 99.30 as a resistance and the 97 or maybe the 98 points as support. We are basically going in a sideways range, and we expect a continuation of this sideways range throughout this week. We will basically be targeting the levels of resistance 99.30, and basically we will be waiting for a bearish price action from the levels of resistance to target the levels of support back again at 98.56 and then 98 points. We are basically having a released momentum to the downside. A bearish momentum is indicating that we might have a break below the support. However, this is something that we will be watching throughout this week. Having a look on the euro versus the US dollar, we rejected the levels of resistance 1.1135, and we are basically heading to the downside. So we are bearish on the euro versus the dollar. This flag basically is expected to end during this week. So we will be waiting for a break below the levels of around 1.0977 to short back to the main resistance of 1.0831, and that's what we're having on the euro versus the US dollar. For the euro versus the pound, we had a false break above these levels of resistance 0.8475. A very strong engulfing candle here we had on the 31st of March. This is basically bearish, and any upward move on a shorter time frame on the euro pound should be a very good opportunity to short back to the levels of support of 0.83 roughly. The pound versus the Japanese yen, we're having this strong rejection from the levels of a weekly resistance. The key level that we will be watching during this week is basically 159. So as soon as we have a BCR, a break, close, and a retest below the 159 on the daily time frame, and on the pound yen, we will basically be shorting the pound yen back to the levels of 157 and then the 152 on the long time frame. The last look that we need to have is basically on the gold trading, and on the daily time frame we are still having this sideways range. After a brilliant move to the downside, a correction is still in place. We will be basically targeting the levels of 1945 and then 1963 throughout the week, as long as we are still trading and holding our trading above the $1,900 per ounce. And that's what we are expecting on gold trading and in the markets for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned for another videos and please stay safe.